Tell me about these 10 pieces. Maybe we can't get through all of them.
There's no need to do all of them by any means.
But I'll just say them out, and you maybe tell me a couple
Sure.
of them that are important. So again, 10 easy steps. One is stay present, seek out sweet moments, guard your happiness to stay healthy, accumulate experiences, not stuff, prioritize food, friends, and sexual relationships. We got to talk about that one. Cooperate, interesting. Embed yourself in community, learn new things, play to your strengths, and seek the original source. Tell me about your favorites in here, and why make this list at the end?
It was actually my editor's idea to put the list, and she's like, well, let's sum all this up and see what we've got. And I wasn't even sure.
It sounds like an editor thing to do.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure. And I said, well, all right, I'm willing to do that so long as we accept that I can say there's no set solution. I can't promise what will make you happy. I can say what makes people on average happy. And so my 10 steps aren't, this will solve your problems. They're like, on average, this is a great thing. And so stay present is a good example. We evolved to think the future, to simulate the future, and to make plans. And that's our huge advantage over other apes. They can't do that. And so for an ape to try something out, they physically got to do it. But if I want to get the girl, I can say, all right, let me see, I'll try sitting next to her in biology class. Oh, wait a minute, I'm terrible at biology. She's going to ask me a question. I'm going to look like a fool. All right, kibosh that plan. And I can go over and start making these elaborate 47-step plan, right? That served us incredibly well. It's a super valuable ability, but it has a consequence. It means that we spend a huge amount of time living in the future. And so when good things happen in the moment, we don't even necessarily notice. And my favorite example of that is when the Washington Post hired Joshua Bell to busk in a metro station. So here you have one of the world's finest violinists, and he's playing on his $3.5 million Stradivarius. And they're really worried that this huge crowd is going to gather around him and that it's going to be a crush and his incredible violin might be damaged. So they've got all these elaborate security plans. Well, on the video camera, you can watch over 1,000 people walk right by him. Only 7 stop for more than 1 minute. Now, why were they not listening to the world's finest violinist when he's right there in front of them playing this incredibly beautiful music? Because their mind is on, they're going to work. Their mind is on dealing with their boss. They're living in the future. And so
also, he's got no social proof, so why would they stop?
Exactly. There's that problem as well. Okay. But they're literally living in the future and not even hearing what he's playing. Because if they did, he's such a talented musician that you'd think, you don't know that's Joshua Bell, but you're thinking, boy, I've never heard a busker who could do that, right?
Okay.
And so I think what happens is that it just sneaks by us. And actually, the same can hold not only when we would benefit, but when we could benefit others. When someone's in need of help, we can literally step over them because we're so busy thinking about what we're going to do next.
And our problems.
And so our happiness suffers when we don't enjoy the moment. In my own case, little kids are a pain in the butt. They're difficult to raise. When you look at the data, they're actually on average a little bit less fun than doing the laundry, right? They're not a good thing on average because there's a lot of tediousness, but they can be stunningly wonderful at brief moments in time. And so, I'll be working on a paper or something like that at home on my laptop, and my kids suddenly start to do something wonderful. But because I'm planning and my mind is somewhere else, I don't even notice it. And so I've learned, boy, if my kids come up and something starts to happen, doesn't matter, just close it and refocus on the present. It's not easy to do, but when you do that, you find all sorts of wonderful things are going on that you could otherwise ignore.
Okay, which is why we meditate too, just to
Which is exactly why we meditate, that's right.
Be present and not be in the future somewhere.
Exactly, we have to learn to undo this incredible gift that evolution gave us that does make us successful as a species, but can make us unhappy as an individual.
Right, and being hyper-connected too, and with all of this information, it makes that even worse sometimes.
Yeah, because there's all the more ramifications of all this stuff.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we don't just shift our mind forward, we also shift it backward to the bad things in our life. The only reason that evolution gave us memory is so we could do better next time, which means that our mind spends all this time going back and forward from past to future. And if the past hasn't been such a good place, we could miss out on all sorts of great things now because we get ourselves upset by thinking about what happened, which could well be upsetting, but it's gone, right? So you want to be able to focus on the present and try to move forward from wherever you are.
Yeah, all right, I got to ask you about prioritize food, friends, and sexual relationships.
Sure.
Everyone's going to ask you that. Why is that important?
Well, that's what we evolved to do, right? Friends are critically important because one of us on our own is a pretty, measly individual. You drop one human alone in the forest, you're feeding the local animals. You drop 100 humans into a forest, there's a new top predator in that place. Even if they started out naked with no tools, we're going to work together and solve amazing things. So friends are so important for us to be a success. Food, of course, is exactly what we evolved to seek out, right? That we're successful animals. So food, friends, and sexual relations, of course.
Yeah.
And so in that case, that's what makes reproduction is the currency of evolution. It's super important. And so if you can prioritize those 3 things, right? Especially getting together with your friends over food, doing things like that, that's what we evolved to find really, really satisfying. And so you can't become permanently happy. That's an unfortunate truth because evolution uses happiness as as a motivator. And so anyone who's capable of becoming permanently happy and staying there, evolution could never motivate them again. They're fine. I've done one good thing. I don't ever need to do anything else. And so they're going to be left behind. So we evolved to get happy and then go right back to our own individual baseline. So what that means is that prioritizing those three things won't make you permanently happier, but they will give you lots of really great moments that you use to build a great life.
Okay. I had Jordan Peterson in here, and he said, we shouldn't search for happiness. We should search for meaning. And a lot of people have said that, this pursuit of happiness is just overblown because, like you just said, it's impermanent.
Right.
What do you think of that?
I think that's a very good point, because if you search for meaning, you're going to try to make the kinds of changes that actually could have long-term benefits. So there's one single exception to the rule that our happiness goes up and comes back down, and that's if you get yourself into really, really good relationships. And so again, from that same panel study I mentioned earlier, where unhappy people are more likely to eventually get divorced, we also know that when you track people over time, so I track you before you even met your partner, and now you meet her and you have the good luck that you two made a great choice for each other. Literally 10 years later, you're still happier than you were the day you were married. Every year gets better. And I'm not even asking you how happy is your marriage. I'm literally saying, how happy are you? And so really good relationships, well, that's what made us a success in our ancestral past. So people who form really good relationships are not focusing on their happiness. They're focusing on each other, right? They're focusing on the meaning of their relationships, the things they can accomplish together. And so focusing on something other than happiness is far more likely to yield a meaningful and happy life than trying to constantly seek out moments of happiness.
Yeah, so that means, I think, focus on risk-taking and not and no omissions.
Yeah,
that will
right.
probably get you there as well.
Well, you probably need a few omissions. You don't want to chase everything.
I agree.
But you definitely need some commissions. You need to make some big mistakes.
Yeah, you need to make mistakes, and you probably need to do 90% more stuff.
I suspect.